Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Grime Game Plays Disco Elysium. As always, I'm your host, Nutchucks, and playing, by the way.
Probably thinks the energy's all wrong for this, but hey, if you want. Actually, we did have a few pop-offs happening because Mr. Chucks is keeping respectfully quiet, but Mr. Browbeat is very happy to point out political inconsistencies and various ideology spikes that are just zesty enough to dig into and say, "This is making you uncomfortable. Oh, is it making you feel bad?"
Nothing's made me feel bad yet.
Good,
But, let's see what
good.
we
It's
got.
because your conscience is being shielded by your inner protection mechanism. What,
Let's do
what,
6. What
sure.
is this? Spread of your hands.
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
Keep guessing.
Am I really that awkward?
I meant, what is this place here?
I feel like... I feel like 2.
No, all three of those go in different directions, so whichever one you want.
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
Hmm.
Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot.
Ooh.
Or two.
What is Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old.
He looks up at the crumbling facade.
This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
How do you feel if I were to say that word again, but I pronounce it as faculty?
Wouldn't bother me.
Really, I thought it'd be a lot funnier. Well, just me then.
Crumbling...
Who lives in them?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Well,
My
shit.
My question now is, how come there's not severe mold and stuff growing in there, and people are dying?
Splat, splat.
From a dilapidated balcony, Cindy the Skull gives Joyce the evil eye, her red paintbrush held to her throat. There's no mold, Chucks, because it's the salty sea air.
Ah, okay.
Wonderful.
Hmm. We're gonna go, what is that? And we're gonna point to Cindy the Skull.
Girl in the old lady rags.
Yes.
No, I meant something basic about reality. We're going yes.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infra culture?
Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags.
Edgelord.
She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
Okay. Now, explain the same thing, but to a child.
I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow. We're going 1.
Young people who dye their hair funny colors and wear old people's clothes are stupid, and their little rebellion is self-defeating.
I feel like
Preach, woman.
I feel like this is that Macklemore song. I wear my granddad's clothes.
I look incredible.
All right. What next?
Uh,
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
let's go with this. It's got to be a 20, but who cares?
Roll a 20 and 2 6-sided
Strange
dice.
coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all.
Because in this game, fail text is still worth reading.
Indubitably. let's keep going. What is this acute encephalopathy?
It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective.
What causes encephalopathy?
Got it. Let me ask you something else.
Well,
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
oh, it's probably from the surgery then.
It's definitely the drinking.
She nods slowly. What this boils down to is, this reality thing is stupid. Blow this joint, grab a bottle, and drain that shit right down your throat.
I support the solution.
Wait. This reality thing is the only game in town. It's probably in your interest not to blow it.
I have a somewhere to party right now, and then you leave.
Wipe the urge from your mind and get back to reality. Let's do that.
She stares at you, head tilted to the side.
We know
with
where
a
we are.
slightly concerned look on her face.
No, we don't.
Okay, well, let's find out.
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby.
And what is Martinez?
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
I'm a disco holdover myself.
We're going with that.
Aren't we all?
What is Martinez?
is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Tell me more about Martinez.
You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
Okay, that's Martinez. What's Revachol?
Tell me about another, perhaps even more fundamental aspect of reality.
The bottom two are backdowns.
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm, and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
New option. What's the name of this island?
Let's go with that.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea. Misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river on the 6th branch. The Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
She cares about the world.
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city.
What kind of city is Revachol?
The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
What makes Revachol great?
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Okay. Who built the city with rock and roll?
You're reading my mind, sir. When was Revachol built?
And why will it resolve history?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago.
So just highlighting the fact that centuries have names. They have numbers, but the names matter more.
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
Aha! Always the reason. Location, location, location. So we're in an unimportant part of an important place.
So we're pretty much at the center of the world.
So we're on the periphery. Basically nobodies. All good choices.
I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about...
She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time.
Good time of day for this too.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Where are we?
I don't know any of this.
Say nothing. Observe the large body of water swelling. Cold.
We are where we are.
That's
I
the
have
one.
no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
She watches you closely as you scan the horizon.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
What are you?
Say nothing.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
Wait, what's an ultra?
Dios mio. Draw across a liberal.
Hold on. Let me give you the actual read on that. Dios mío!
Oh, sorry.
Cross. A liberal!
Cool, I liberate pretty pretty hard myself.
I don't understand. What's so vile about that? Because she mentioned ultras before. Who were the ultras? She was the middle class, the ones who
Yeah.
inherited everything, the mineral rights. So she coasted this whole thing, relatively unscathed, and got to keep her toys.
Yes. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind surrendered the nation to financial colonists. Perhaps you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra anymore. Not in broad daylight. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
You're a monster.
I forgive you.
I forgive you, but only because you're charming.
I don't care.
I do
She needs
hope
to feel
so.
forgiven.
I hope we are able to remain collegial despite my monstrousness. The Ultras didn't have anything against the king, or the commune, you see. It was just business. When
Uh-huh.
the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
And that's fucking heavy to think about. You were given immense power on a leash, and you basically put it in a corner and stared at it the entire time. Would
Mm.
you have done something differently?
That settles that.
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake. Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isla down rather than let them have it.
Ah, scorched earthed.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes, an oil fire on the ocean.
You're a smart woman.
You're a patriot.
Question mark. You have daughters?
No, excuse me. Sorry, you're a patriot. Yeah, let's go with that one.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Seditious talk, man.
The lieutenant puts down his notes and gives her a look. He doesn't like that.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
I just want to connect that moment for a second. Kim staring at her because Kim, in like state, religion, or affiliation, and hinting his personal beliefs, he does consider himself to be a moralist. So, because Paul matter here, it's kind of like saying you choose, in spite of everything, to believe a different God than the one that everyone agrees exists. So that's not writing someone off, but it's like don't fucking say that out loud. It's gonna cause trouble.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
That was quite the lowdown.
Yeah.
And all of nonsense, all those words are just for shit. Who cares? We got the thought we wanted, right, Chucks?
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, no, come on. You got pleasure from this. You
It was-
actually wanted to complete all of the options because you were curious.
I was curious. I wanted to know everything that she could tell us about this world. It's one of the few times that you don't learn a world from just playing bits of the game, like going through and going to this area and learning something different. It's someone telling you what's going on. So it was unique and different. It was not unique, but it's interesting, and that I wanted to know everything that she could tell me.
Now, why did she not lie to us in this? Why did she choose to be sincere and re-educate the poor, traumatized officer versus being... Maybe it's all lies. Maybe she's just shaping reality to make you into a company affiliate.
I think she regrets what she did at the time, and she wanted them to understand what actually happened.
I like that take. It's very likely. All right, concluded for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know.
And for the
Anything
time
else?
being, before you do that,
Mm-hmm.
leave the conversation. Go to your thoughts cabinet. Use one of your skill points to buy a new slot, or if you want, ditch a skill. If you want to give up on any of them, I don't know that you do, but if you say, I don't want this, it's more long-term advantageous to buy a new skill slot.
I don't know. None of them are bad. I mean, right now I have no complaints.
Or should you? But click one of those gray squares floating in the middle of the screen.
Huh, okay. Boom. Okay.
Now click on Jamais Vu so we can read it.
Internalize.
3 hours, 25 minutes. Revachol, Special Administrative Region, Le Caillou, the Insul Indian Ocean, Coalition Government, Insul Indian Mission Command. Name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at the stickers on the fridge. Trouvant, the Apricot Company, World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners. See if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all the thoughts. The one you truly must complete. Internalize. And Mr. Chucks, now that I've compelled you to perform an action for me outside of this playthrough as well,
Mm-hmm.
remember the lyric, the bowhead in one of his songs?
I do not.
Googling derealization and hating what you find.
Wow.
This is that thought. And I think the connection will be very interesting for you once we see what's on the other side.
So,
Also, it has no research bonus temporarily. It doesn't do anything while you're thinking about it. That's rare,
okay.
suggesting you're fine for now.
What do we got here? Map. Respect monument. Oh, I got a box of sunglasses. That's not a big deal.
Well, they're all big deals. Come on. Hang on to that point for now.
Okay.
So, just to reassess, because that was a big conversation. Took us from 3 something to 5 something p.m. Cool. I would like for you to go to Frit just for a brief moment to talk to the girl, but there is one major area of the game that you can have access to right now that you have not seen yet. Actually, scratch that. There are 2, and I
Where do you
can
want me to
direct
go?
you there. What's that?
We can go in here because we haven't been in here yet.
We can. I just briefly, before we venture in there, I wanted you to go to the convenience store and ask the girl because I want to see if a certain dialogue triggered. It's not super important, but I'm very curious about the connection. So, what are your personal player impressions after getting the reality lowdown with Joyce?
That this world has been through some serious crap, and that it's been tough for the people that have lived there, and to understand that the coalition has just left them up to essentially to their own devices and just said, "Hey, we have the mineral rights. We don't really care what goes on." It it makes you wonder on certain things, and on top of that, it kind of makes me feel like we're back in the, like I said, 1920s after World War One, with Germany just being left up to its own device and hitting the failed economy that it had, and having such
Yes.
terrible inflation.
But in that particular context, there weren't Allied Zeppelins with artillery guns floating overhead saying, everything's fine, live normal, your daddy loves you.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. Been unique though.
Is this about
There
the
you go.
questions again? Because I don't really know anything.
You
This
said I
Frit
would.
house in the back of the Whirling and Rags? And
You said I wouldn't want to fuck the Frit. Why? Fuck with Frit. Why?
remember when you said that?
I do.
A warehouse? I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
Come on, give me something to work with here.
This is important.
She looks up from under her brow.
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay?
Turns back to her magazine without waiting for you to respond. So the reason I wanted to ask about that is because of something Gart said.
What did Gart say? Well, I can't remember what Gart said.
Well, Gart said that maybe it's a Frit warehouse behind that blue door.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But there isn't. So what's behind the blue door, Chucks?
Ooh, that's right. I gotta go find that
Because
out.
Frit has an army.
Hold on. An army? You mean like mercenaries? Ready to kill people?
But why would Frit need an army? It's just a corner shop.
Yeah, like 2,000 or so.
She says it as if it's completely natural. But, yeah.
I don't know. It stops people from robbing Frit, I guess. If they know there's an army, I mean, I wouldn't want to fuck with them anyway.
Businesses often hire private security this side of the river. It's an unfortunate state of affairs, but not unheard of.
But that's what the cops are for.
Yeah, good point. Actually, I had another question as well. Yeah, number one.
You think the police, like, bother catching shoplifters? Frit polices themselves, so yeah. Anything else you wanted?
No,
That is a grim take, considering you're saying that rent-a-cops have fully automatics and license to shoot for shoplifting.
yeah, that's nuts. That's something that you don't hear every day, and that's kind of crazy to
I've
think
never
about.
gotten this dialogue. I'm very happy that you lit up a smoke right in front of her, and because maybe she's bluffing, but I don't think so. It's just enough of a teenager thing to say where she's heard it somewhere and she's running with it, but it's probably super true, but it's only not grimdark because you don't engage the thought. The officers of the law, at least allegedly, have some connection to and allegiance to the land they're policing on their beat. Mercs don't give a shit.
Can I pick that bottle up?
Didn't you?
No, I can't.
Are you sure? Mouse over it, just gently.
No.
Guess. Maybe your perception is too low. You don't see it. The player sees it. The detective does not.
You think we can knock homeboy out with a crowbar?
You are welcome to try.
Got it. Probably wouldn't succeed.
Oh, try it.
Well,
Failure is the way forward sometimes. I mean, a gun would be better.
That's a good point.
You lose nothing by trying. You lose something by not trying. Oh no, it's going to cost you a skill point later. Well, what if you never even have a need to?
Your race descent has only worsened since I last saw you. You
Nope.
have really
Crowbar does
let
not factor in.
yourself go.
So, hang on. The only reason I'm going to pause you here is, should you find a way past this challenge, the new area where you can go is pretty compelling. I mean, it's all good. It's all really good. Just the other two areas you can look for are slightly less involved, potentially, or at least don't move main events. But if you fuck up and don't proceed, you might get something different. So my only caution is, should you interact with this? You know what? Forget I said it. It opens a door. You don't have to go through that door. So please, interact with Measurehead however you see fit. Either subscribe to his advanced race theory, which is not what you think it is, or knock him out, which is not what you think it is.
This is tough. Fuck it.
I
Just like that, instinct took over. A solid strike straight into his throat, into the cartilage. You could swear you felt the soft palate break. The man
Congratulations.
was reeling, gasping for air. Time stands still around you. In the distance, the sounds of the harbor are falling silent.
Wait, what should I do now?
Rip into him with a right hook.
Back up and perform a 360-degree flying spin kick.
Rip into him with a right hook.
Oh God, wrong move. Your head is in his hands, like a pair of forces crushing you, and you can feel every jewel. Say it. I am a degenerate drunk. Take the pain, goddammit. At least take that.
How did this happen? I was winning.
I am a degenerate drunk.
Never.
Assault of a police officer. Help.
Try to somehow wiggle yourself loose from his grasp.
Even under the increased force on your skull, there is no pain. Just the sound of your own blood gushing in there, feeding your mind with oxygen.
I feel like that would. You try to wiggle yourself loose to see what you can do. I feel like that's something that cop would try to done.
You are a poor player of physical chess.
He lets go of your head and you slump to the ground. But that's not locked.
Ooh. Let's leave for now, but
Hang
that
on.
didn't help.
Mouse over it. Mouse over it. I just want to see if there's a modifier. Okay,
Yep.
so you haven't hit too many of these yet, but there are conversations where you're given a menu of choices, and there's explicitly a right choice and a wrong choice, and it's hard to tell what they are. So you can leave, that's okay, but what do you think went wrong?
Probably punching him in the throat instead of hitting him upside the head with the goddamn crowbar.
Okay, but within the menu of the game.
Probably not asking about his advanced race theory. Subscribing to it, making him feel comfortable with you. But now that's probably a little too late in real life, but in this game, probably not.
Hey, what if you're still curious? And he's not upset at you, just you went
Ask
for a
what
swing.
kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
You went.
Measurehead, I am new to this world. Help me understand its races. I need to know what kind of different races there are.
I don't want to do that. Opt out. No.
Do you?
I do.
Whisper. This is for the thing.
On second thought, I don't. Relinquish the opportunity to learn advanced race theory. The lieutenant looks towards the harbor's electronic door, then to you. He lets out an audible sigh.
You are obviously a liberal, Sailite. A polyculturalist. I can see it from your love of microtechnology and your sartorial choices. Do not deny your friend the truth you have denied yourself. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need education on?
Oh man, I love the cauldron of pederasty, but we have to go. Actually, if you want to, you can skip to the cauldron.
Let's do it.
I knew you would go straight for the vile cauldron. Everyone does. You need to first learn about type A and B to appreciate the depravity of the chimeric races.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, otherwise, it just won't make any sense.
Yes, it would seem nonsensical.
You ready for this?
Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding.
Are you hearing the Calvin candy here?
Yeah. You can, like, oh, these ones, superior people, but these ones over here have issues because of inbreeding and shit.
Preceding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades in Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats.
A fantasy Dutch. Let me feel your dimples. Wait, who exactly are the Maun?
Okay, got it. Who are type A then, in your view?
You know them by the names of their nation states. The Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them Maun. The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
So too pure is bad, and then not enough pure is bad. Wait, is this thing gonna shake itself apart?
It probably is.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, all have type A race propensities. The other large Mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem.
He draws his finger across his face.
Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum.
who could he be describing?
Who knew?
And who are the Seminese and the Areopagites in this?
As proven by the Maun and the Mask, Occidental Type A is in retrograde. The Seminese and the Areopagites are on the ascent.
And the Seminese are?
The Areopagites are the master race of the
Sorry.
Ilmaran.
I'm not saying that, Chuck said.
Seminese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ilmara to Ansuland.
An invasion?
Thousands of years before the lactose-intolerant Marne-written Occidentals discovered this place.
All right, back to where we were. Didn't mean to click that. What is the difference between the Seminese and the I'm not even going to butcher that. Areopagites?
I
Continue.
just said it French style.
And the Seminese are?
The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago. The Seminese inhabit the southern islands. I am Seminese, from the stock of Ulmuir on Ile de Fantôme.
Unfortunately, our cognitive ability stats, the blue stats, aren't very developed because, well, as he keeps talking, logic and rhetoric encyclopedia keep popping off saying that that doesn't track. No, I don't think that's true. And then he will talk his way out of whatever.
The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Seminese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericarnassus. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls.
He falls silent, contemplating the beauty and the mystery.
The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite or Simeopagite superrace. That is all. There are no more Type A races in the world.
But Measurehead, perfected and adapting doesn't make sense. Perfected is a final state, adapting is a transitory state. Are you full of shit, Measurehead?
Nature was not capable of more.
Let's find out about Type B.
Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race. The Koikos and the Vacholier, they are mud-colored people.
Mud-colored?
To an untrained eye, the Koiko appear white and pinkish, like a ham sandwich. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an distinct muddy color, and so is their skin. Unhealthy, sweaty, and ashen.
He squints, full of sage wisdom. Now, what is this preference shaping to be in your mind, Mr. Chucks? What are the virtues being extolled, and what are the weaknesses that are being frowned upon?
Being strong and muscular and more powerful and being intellectual and of different skin tone is terrible. So it's going to be like we saw the freaky deaky Dutch and the Mexican stereotypes in here, Latin American stereotypes in here already. In this one, you have darker, muddy colored skin tones and everything of the sort that he's talking about. So you're seeing that he's just basing it off of skin tone and things that the cultures do. So I would say it's a very flawed ideological thinking as of right now.
Well, no, I don't think it's skin tone at all, because the Seminese are meant to be representative of fantasy Africa, if you will, or Pacific Islanders in a sense.
Yeah.
I would reframe it less as skin and more about a national or cultural ambition. But in his mind, that ambition has to be expansionist and warlike, because if a nation focuses themselves towards that, as a result, they begin to produce symmetrically beautiful, tall people. It's like a kid who grew up looking at the war propaganda posters, and just that's reality. Like that's how it ought to be. So, yeah, you might certainly say that this is a problematic ideology to begin with, but it's not racism based on you look different. It's more like if you have a race of people, if you segment them as such, what you guys ought to be doing is to become the biggest, baddest warriors and then go challenge each other and compete for supremacy because heroic races. This is the infantile projection of everything Alan Moore despises. People wanking over superheroes is like that's the best people can be. So he's a walking satire. And the joke is, if you're so perfect, why can't you speak your language very well, there, buddy? So I really want to develop what the idea of race separation is thematically within this game, because it's a much more simple and focused idea that actually represents a cultural vulnerability and an interesting counterpoint to what people are fighting about. It's not you look different, it's your behaviors as stereotypes steer you further and further away from what is noble in life, which is military conquest, and as a result you suffer by experiencing degeneracy and submitting to Al Ghul, if that makes sense. Or do you reject that notion?
No, I don't reject the notion. I understand. I know. I get what you're getting at on that, and I 100% agree with you that his ideological thinking is more in that aspect. That he is thinking more about it on the aspect of that they need to be more warlike and everything of the sort, and that if you're not, then you are failing your races. I see that more now. Going back, and that's kind of why I scrolled up a little bit, trying to read somewhat. I want to see where he's taking this, but you can see these poking holes and flaws and saying things a certain way that you find it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
And if you have any questions about my rhetoric, just examine my tattoos, and I'm sure you'll find a relevant passage in this book of mine that I'm wearing to address any questions you may have. It's very limited thinking.
Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination that the Grad people have undergone for drinking alcohol and smoking the degenerate tobacco and for eating potato.
It's fucking absurd. Potatoes make you unheroic.
Drinking, alcohol, and okay, eating potatoes.
The Khoikhoi, the countless micronationalities of Grad, are all inexplicably obsessed with Podat. The only thing they like more is dividing into microscopic ethno-states, like political amoeba.
And the Vacholiers you mentioned?
The Revacholians, halfway between Type A and the racial cauldron. Two makes to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000-year history on this planet.
Oh, 82,000 years. I'm glad you have the specific number. Also, earlier you made fun of the fantasy Dutch by inbreeding, but now you're saying mixing bad. Stop mixing. Keep separate and make better warriors. It is completely farcical.
Oh yes.
Pederasty, here we go.
Tips CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me.
Well, Measurehead, at least I'm glad you got to watch Full Metal Alchemist so you know the references.
Yes.
Chimeric experiments. Yes, better not go into it.
Sorry.
Lesser races
okay.
like the Mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Seminese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Seminese. The other way around, they fail to produce offspring.
Try and translate that to modern world in your head.
Of a. That. Ooh, that doesn't make any sense.
No, because again, if your logic stat is high enough, it goes, I don't think we make mules as people. I don't think that happens. But in his mind, it only works one way. And maybe we can prod at that.
Maybe we
The
can.
Mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
Unless he's describing incels. There's a possibility there. But it's a curious way to frame things. In his mind, no, those never go anywhere else.
No.
Then there is the Simino Koiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Simino Koiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site.
Yes.
Better not to. The Simino Koiki Chimera seems like more than I could handle right now. Yeah, I want to
The
know.
Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Simonese with the Koiko to produce a super worker of Simonese strength and grad servility.
Okay, I like eugenics. Let's go with this.
This will never happen. The Simonese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Simonese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koiko woman or Koika.
Reading that line
There
with
is
a straight face
strange
must have been very
sadness in his
difficult.
tone, a less than heroic melancholy this time.
Okay, let's pause here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying that Simonese brothers can't keep it up for a Koika. But what's he sad about? I mean, shouldn't he be going, yeah, it's weird. It's one of those things that just doesn't happen.
That is slightly weird.
And you might not have,
It might be.
go ahead.
I feel like it's his issue, and he's just trying to hide it in there, and that's what they're doing. They're aiming that towards. Like, this is more of his issue than anything else.
Bingo. And then how many times you've met people in life, or are yourself one for a certain period of life, as I am as well. There's stuff that you're terrified of with yourself, insecurity-wise or concern-wise, so you wrap yourself in supreme confidence, quote, faking it till you're making it, so that other people think, wow, you're really, like, you know your stuff, you're good at this, when all you're doing is just hoping like hell nobody finds out about the thing that you're not sure about. This is just, again, not a corruption, but an exaggeration of that. And to remind you, just again, in this game, if empathy had not popped off, all you would have had is option 2, but because it's here, you have other things. So every time you get a single response piece of dialogue, just be aware. There's probably a hidden check there somewhere. Well, option 1 is, you seem kind of blue about this, Measurehead.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bring this up. Well, let's go with option 1.
The heart that pumps the hemoglobin is mysterious, and so is its dark will. Enough of these personal matters. Have you been educated to all the Rasotip now?
And
He does not seem angry, nor does the woman look affected. She just twirls her hair. Perhaps they've been through this and established an accord.
so, to address this, since the relevant check didn't trigger, what are the odds that he can't get it up for his fangirls? He wants to, but something about him is happening this way, so he attributes it to a racial issue.
All right.
You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it.
Will you help me get that body down if I do?
How do I word the mystery?
On second thought, I don't have time to get any deeper into this stuff. I think question 1 is fairly important for us as police officers.
Yeah.
We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way without becoming a race theoretician.
Am I mildly worried he might take it seriously? The lieutenant thinks. Yes, I am, he concludes. I am worried.
You need a minute? How do I how do I word the mystery?
You need to internalize what you have heard here. This clarity does not come instantly. I cannot possibly
All right.
imagine what else we have to discuss.
Now that we have now that we've accepted the task, let's punch him again.
Venereal disease.
One more time. Success.
Success. Cool. Now eat this.
Just like that, instinct took over.
Alright, we saw
The man is reeling, gasping for air. Time stands still around you.
well, option
Well,
2.
ask-
The sounds
No, ask
of
what
the
you should do.
harbor are falling silent. Don't wait. You've only got a millisecond. He's coming to. Time is breaking loose from the stupor. His left hand curls up into a fist.
What the fuck?
Yep.
The man lands with a dull thump, like a broken down puppet of muscles and sinew. For a moment, he still tries to keep his head up, dazed eyes looking at you with unimaginable surprise. To your left is the button.
Disco Inferno. Press the button.
Welcome to Revachol.
I'm so sorry. I didn't want to do this. Press the button.
Just press the button. Disco Inferno. Press the button.
As you slam your fist on the button, the man collapses entirely, his head rolling to the side.
Looks like you're the new measurehead now.
Ooh, you got
Her
fans.
voice is surprisingly calm.
No one is the new measurehead. Let's go before he gets up.
Wait, was she the measurehead Kuno West this whole time?
Most likely.
And then before you walk away too far, grab that box in the corner on the right.
Alright.
Yay, spare change. I guess we'll pause it here.
Yep. So for Grime Game, guys, I'm not Chucks.
And Brabit.
Till next time. See you later.